Hello, can you tell me your name and your profession?
My name is Raymond T. Baza. My profession was security police officer for the Department of Defense, and also I'm retired as a police officer.
Were you involved with the evacuation of the Vietnamese refugee to Guam in 1975? Can you remember and tell us about that event?
Back then, April of '75, I was still with the security force in naval with the Navy. Admiral Morrison at the time pulled me out from my work and tasked me to be the head personnel for the incoming over 10,000 Vietnamese refugees on the island.
And then what happened?
Back then, we were in the conference room with the admiral, and the admiral was asking how many people that were married to Vietnamese female to help me out during the process of assigning people to each camp.
So you were married to a Vietnamese lady?
I am married to a wonderful Vietnamese lady that rescued me from injuries and from being captured in Vietnam. And I'm proud to be part of her life because she gave me my life.
Sound a very touching story. You said that you were receiving 10,000 of Vietnamese refugees at that time. Actually, how many you did receive?
I did a process over 7,000 Vietnamese family that was here on the island. I moved them to Karate Point. I moved them over to Asan, where we're standing right now, which back then was called Asan Annex, and then some up to Tumon Heights area, where that's the fourth largest tent city on the island.
Where you stand right now, you call ASEAN, also was the site during World War II. Can you tell us about that story?
During the World War II, one of my best friend, best relative that used to be in the Marine Corps made this possible for the Marines that fought during the war to commemorate their landing here in the island. When they were out there, all the ships that were out there, 7,000 Marines landed on the island, but there's only 13,000 was killed on this island.
So you said that you received over 7,000 families. How did they come here? Did they come by sea, by air, or how?
Some of them came by ship. Some of them came by air, but most of it that I process comes from air. The first group that came in was the baby lift. We processed the baby lift and send them straight to the Navy Hospital, the Guam Memorial Hospital, where all people, doctors, nurses, volunteers to help aid the newborns and the infants that arriving on the island.
When you use the term baby lift, can you explain a little bit about what the baby lift is all about?
Baby lift is all about the younger infants, no more than 10 years old, to come to the island first because of lack of nutrition, hunger, sickness. Sometimes they have malaria. That makes it possible to have all the professional medical people here in the island to focus.
How was they when they came in?
They were came in wrapped with clothes. Some of them have. I like to say more, but it really will bring back memories. So I assisted. Excuse me. One most difficult baby that we sent up to Naval Hospital because of lack of nutrition, very sick, that is nearly life. But that in that way, the infant didn't what you call this, hard to say, didn't survive an hour. So right then I volunteered to go and have it buried down at the Navy Cemetery at that time. And this is my second time to see an infant that critical to die.
How many of them died?
There's about, to my recollection, maybe about 7 or 8.
You remember how many of them came to Guam?
Approximately 500 or 600 babies that came to the island that I know of.
Well, when you're receiving the refugee, what they stayed like? They come here,
when I first experienced the incoming fluctuation of refugees, mothers, fathers, children, babies that are taken care of by their family, they really graced me and hugged me and said, "Thank you for my freedom." I said, "You're welcome." Mrs. Nguyen, Mr. Chong, tell you all their names. It's beyond my my memories, because it will bring back memories to me and my emotional feelings. So I said, this is the line that I can have you process and send you where to go, so they can take care of you, give you food, clothing, sleeping areas where you and your family can be comfortable.
What happened to them during the time here? Some of them, I believe, didn't make it.
Some of them didn't make it because of the condition that they came in. Some of them stayed here and make Guam their home. Some of them went back to the States to be with other folks in the States because of their families that they were separated in the events of the evacuation. So some of the families were sent to the States during the Operation New Life and landed there. Some of them are in Japan, Hawaii. Those are the places, Texas, to say most. And but the ones that really close to me is the one that I helped here, and they stayed here in Guam, make it their own home.
So at the time there was an incident about, we call it Vietnam Thương Tín. There's a group of Vietnamese refugees. They somehow got here and missed their home, their family, and they managed to come back. You remember anything about that? Can you share with us?
I didn't recall the whole event, but yes, I was involved on that thing, and they really so happy to meet with some of the families that still live here in the island, and they embrace the welcoming of my people here in the island. The Chamorro people embrace them, that Guam is their home, and they were so happy that the Chamorro people open up their arms for them, and I'm proud of that.
So when you use the term Chamo, that means native.
Native people.
Yes, native.
Yeah.
I heard that during that time the population of Guam was little smaller than the group you received. The refugee group came in here. How do they react to that? Do everybody, open their arm or what?
Okay.
So when you use the term that Chamo, are they native Guaman? And how do they receive the refugee at that time?
When I say Chamorros, we say I refer the native people here in the island, because the native people are Chamorros. The newer generation were going to be called Guamanian because of the word Guam, and we open up our hands to the people coming here. Some of us have hard feelings because they lost loved ones in Vietnam, as we all know, and some of them became godparents, godfathers, like myself. I've been a godfather for 3, and I lost one of them last year. And we love the idea of having Vietnamese, because we, the people here in the island, like Vietnamese people.
Can you tell a little bit about back history? When you said you like Vietnamese, was it Guam were in the war during the Second World War II, and Chamorro have some bad experience about war? Can you elaborate that?
During World War II, when some of our parents was killed during the Japanese time, we were not actually involved on the war. It was just the innocents are always being attacked. So we learned from that people must understand that war is different, and when war arrives, we, the civilian population, panic. We panic because we don't know how military function. And when I say function, a lot of the Chamorros don't have weapons, don't have protection to protect themselves. War is cruel. War is no enjoyment, and people will starve. People will tend to have emotions and dislike on other races. But we grew and learned differently. The Chamorro people learn differently because they have experienced war. So on my generation going into the military, I experienced what my grandparents and my parents had been telling us ever since the occupation of the enemy. So, okay. Welcome to Asen Memorial Park. Right in front of me is the War in the Pacific Monument, where the refugee tent city, the third largest tent city during the 1975 fall of Saigon, where I processed a lot of Vietnamese refugees to this area. Right in front of this torpedo, the barracks was here. The Marine barracks was not dissolved at that time during the time. So we made it a processing area. To my left, luckily the military CBs built the tent city in one day. They all line up in this area, along the grassy area, and our picnic area will be back there. A lot of the people that were here during the refugee asked me if it's all right to have them go out and shower in the ocean because they feel filthy. I said, by all means, but there's lifeguards that we posted out there, so in the event that they needed help, they get help. On the left side of this place, they built the clinic. This is like a hospital area for people that needed medical assistance. And then over there were the cement area. That building over there is the bathroom where they had. Okay. And on my far right is the galley where they feed the people. And in the center portion is where they issue clothing, blankets, clothes, whatever they need. And during my time, there's about 12,000 incoming and out processing people that was here. But all in all, we only have 10,000 people arriving. But the one that arrived was already processed on the embassy, so they had to depart.